originally got into Bitcoin 8 years ago, the first thing I did was I bought some Bitcoin, I transferred it to an exchange, and I tried to earn more Bitcoin by buying low, selling high, layering in a bunch of different orders. And that was one of my ideas to earn more Bitcoin. It was a way to earn passive income. Now, the space has evolved significantly over that time. Now we have things like yield farming, different staking and masternode protocols. You have trading bots that will trade on your behalf inside your own exchange. There's a lot of really cool options in DeFi as well. And it's moved from more of a centralized concept into more of a decentralized ecosystem. And in this video, I want to give you my top 10 picks to earn passive income, to earn $100 a day in crypto, what it's going to take, how much you need to invest in order to earn $100 a day, what the risks are, and everything you need to know. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Clover Crypto. If you're looking to learn more about decentralized applications, trading, and other passive income opportunities, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you stay up to date when I release new videos. I think it can be helpful to set goals in crypto. One of my long-term goals is to have 10 Bitcoin, maybe an equivalent amount of Ethereum. And one of my original goals when I started looking more in the passive income options was to be able to earn $100 a day. It's a nice round number. That's an amount that you have the ability to pay for a lot of your bills on that. For a lot of people, $100 a day is more than they earn at their job. And so there's a lot of really cool options now in crypto where you have the ability to earn that. And so I want to give you guys a brief breakdown on what I feel are some of the best projects to be able to do that. Now, some you can earn much faster. You have less capital that you would need to invest to earn that much, but they can be very high risk. And then there's others where they have a very low interest rate, so it would require a significant amount of money to be able to do that, and so it's not really a viable option. And so I feel like these 10 projects are really good. Right now, in 5 of them, I'm already earning over $100 a day. 2 of them, I'm earning nearly $1,000 a day. And I'm going to be building out the other 5, and I want to have these 10 projects where each one is paying me $100 a day. So if anything happens with one of the projects, you still have all of these others to fall back on. And so I feel that's going to be a really good strategy moving forward. It also gives you some income to be able to test other projects and to try trading or some of the other things that may be a little bit more risky. My list can be broken down into 2 general types of categories. So you have trading bots that are using different algorithms that are trading your funds inside of centralized exchanges. And then you also have DeFi, which is a very general topic. It can be yield farming, it could be masternodes, it could be staking, there's smart contracts with different logics. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening in DeFi. So those are the 2 basic categories. And so I'm going to start with DeFi and the one that I'm making the most amount of money with right now, which is Bankroll Flow. I've covered the Bankroll network in many of my other videos, so I'll link those in the description below. I'm just briefly going to give you some of the numbers that you would need to invest, some of the interest rates, along with some of the primary risks. So with Bankroll, it's 1% per day. You're guaranteed to get those tokens because when you deposit into the contract, it is essentially burning those tokens. And then when you claim, it is going to mint those tokens. And so it has an elastic supply. You will always get those tokens. The risk becomes the price. They've done some different things to try to harden the price. Bank Teller has implemented a new reactor system. Not everyone is in agreement with some of the changes that have happened in the Bankroll ecosystem. It does tend to change and evolve over time, but it has been one of the most successful projects on the Tron blockchain. And I feel that this has a lot of long-term intentions and potential. It's been around for quite some time. I've been involved in doing videos on it for a long time. And so these are 2 projects that I'm earning over $100 a day. So you have the Bankroll Flow along with the Stronghold. Now, Flow was going to be feeding 5% of the contract in a Stronghold, but that will be changing when they update the new contract. It's going to be feeding into the reactor. And so that will help to support the price there. But the downside is that that may have a negative impact on Stronghold. With Bankroll Flow at 1% per day, it's $10,000, that's $100 a day, and that's about 360,000 Tron in order to earn that every day in Bankroll Flow. You can increase that with the network marketing element behind that. It goes 15 levels deep, and there's a number of different strategies that you can also use, and I've talked about these in some other videos. So I'm earning substantially higher than 1%, and there's different ways that you can maximize the ability to earn inside that ecosystem if you're willing to put in a little bit of work. But if you're just interested in the passive income side of things, that's what you're looking at. Now with Stronghold, it's paying out about 225 APY or so currently. That may go down, as I was mentioning. It's recently gone up because a lot of people have sold out of Stronghold because of the new changes that were coming into play. But you know, that's a pretty solid 0.6% per day that's paid out in Tron. So right now you're looking at about $16,000 invested, which is about 580,000 Tron to get to that $100 a day average. Now you do have the ability to sell your Stronghold position. There's a 10% fee, but you're not locked in like you are with the Flow contract or some of these other projects that I'm going to talk about. So if you do see some price action, you can take that into your favor, whether you're buying low or selling high. So you want to keep that in mind. The risk being that, you know, the APY could drop if you know, there's not enough development on the banker token. If the banker price comes down, that's also going to cause your investment to come down in value. So those are going to be the risks that you want to be aware of. Before I move on to the next category, one thing I want to mention is, you know, I put the $100 out there, but if your economic situation is one where maybe that's something you can't quite afford, you can move that decimal one place, and maybe your goal is $10, and you know, the investment that you would need would be something like $1,000 invested to get that $10 a day. Or if you want to make $1,000 a day, you would move the decimal another place. So, and some of these figures, you know, you can pull out a spreadsheet and do some of the math, and it is worthwhile doing, so you have a good idea of these types of projects. And I think getting diversified into as many as you can is a really good strategy. So the next category is yield farming. Now, yield farming is a very dynamic subject. There's a lot of things that you should be aware of. It has some projects with very high APYs, which also have a very high dump factor. So you want to keep that in mind, because you get into some of these that have APYs in the thousands, and they tend to be on a dump token. So if you have that token paired, that's one of the things that you will need to take into consideration, because you're going to suffer quite a bit of impermanent loss. If that's tied to a token of particular value, you're going to lose a considerable amount of your holdings in that. I've gotten into yield farming projects before and lost 50% of my value, you know, for instance, because I got into something that had a really high APY, was printing a lot of tokens, but you're losing a lot of money in the amount that you have staked in those pools. You also have some very solid projects that are out there in the DeFi space that have a tremendous amount of money in them, but their APYs are like below 10. So you're going to need a ton of money to get to a level where you can earn $100 a day. And so I feel like the two that I'm in right now, I feel they have a very good kind of soft spot in the middle. So the first one is UME farming with the Eclipse City. So this has been very successful with the Tron chain, Ether chain projects. They have a lot of things going on in that ecosystem. I would probably recommend to stay away from the UME and the EFT pairs. Those are going to be more high risk. So you can get into some of the other ones that are tied to Tron, whether it's Ethereum, even Bitcoin. So there's a lot of really cool yield farming pairs there, and they tend to pay out, you know, 300, 400, 500%. So if you look at a 450 APY, which works out to roughly about 1.2% daily, that's going to take about $8,100 to be able to get to $100 a day. So there's a couple that are at that rate right now, somewhere between 400 or 500, and there is a 3% fee to go into those. It takes 2 weeks, and then you have to re-get into the pool. So you're going to lose a little bit on that fee to initially get into the pool, but you'll make that back with the yield that you'll be earning. And the token that you're typically farming is going to be UME. The EFT farms require you to hold EFT to be able to do that. So I'm not sold on that just quite yet. And then the other one that I've just recently got into, which has been doing really well in terms of the amount of money that's in that ecosystem, it's a little bit under the radar, but Pancake Swap. Daily active users have really been going up. The locked liquidity that's inside of those pools has been going up quite a bit, and you can get into some really interesting pairs. Now the APYs are not quite as high. A lot of them are under 100. So it's going to take a lot more money to get into those. So if you take 100 as an average, then that's going to require $36,000, 500 to get $100 a day, just to give you some frame of reference. Now, they have some really interesting pairs all tied to BNB. So if you don't mind holding some of these tokens, that's a great way to earn some passive income by taking some of your different tokens and some of these altcoins and being able to earn. And as those go up in value, as the overall crypto market goes up in value, you're going to be earning on your investment that's in those pools as well. And that's fairly safe. You do need to install, or I would recommend installing their Binance Chain plugin. So that's another way to interact. You can interact with MetaMask in a few other ways, but the Binance Chain is really interesting what Binance is doing. And so I feel like those are some really interesting projects to get into from the yield farming perspective. And that list will probably change. There will probably be some new farms coming out. And when those come out, I'll be sure to do a video to kind of give you guys an update on that. But those are two that I'm looking to build up to earn $100 a day. I'm already earning $100 a day in the UME farming and looking to build out my Pancake Swap to get that up to $100 a day. The next category is staking, and there's a lot of options with staking. I'm going to go with some of the ones that have a little bit of a higher rate of return and a lot more upside potential. The one that I'm doing really well with, that I've talked about quite a bit on this channel, is stkGRO. So this is based on the Growth DeFi ecosystem. They're coming out with some new developments, new rebase style token that supposedly has some yield farming projects involved with that. That's going to feed into the Growth DeFi ecosystem and ultimately the GRO token. So you're going to earn a higher interest rate based on all of the activity that's coming into that. And it's a very limited supply, only 1 million tokens. You buy the GRO token, you stake it, and the stkGRO token, it'll only go up in value. It's worth more and more GRO. Now it's very gas intensive in terms of the staking process. So you really want to do it with at least $1,000 is typically what I recommend. With people, it has a little bit of a lower APY. Right now it's currently about 173, and that is the average. And that could come down a little bit, but you're looking at about $21,000 invested to get $100 a day. Now it's auto compounding. It's basically growing in value. So it's not like some of the other projects where you have a dividend, you have something that's paying out. So if you want to take some profit with that, you're going to have to unstake, and there's some significant gas fees with that. So this is more of one to hold for the long term, and it's doing a lot of really cool things in the background based on some of the successful yield farming protocols that are out there. So that one is doing really well. And also one that's similar in a way is Hex. They're both on Ethereum, and with Hex, it's the APY is roughly about like 40 or 50 with a lower term stake, but the price has gone up just astronomically in value. And so that's one of the things to kind of look at. If you're looking at like 40 APY, or let's say 50 APY, it's going to be about 0.13% per day. It's going to take you about $73,000 invested to earn the equivalent of $100 a day. Now, if you could do longer stakes, if there's some other activity, and also obviously if the price goes up significantly in value, you can earn quite a bit more. But again, it's one of those projects where it's just best to stake it for a long term and just watch that grow in value. You're not really getting dividends where you can reinvest into other projects. You want to go into these two with the long term in mind. Now, the other aspect, or one of the other elements of staking, is Masternodes. And this is one that I'm going to be getting into pretty heavily soon. There's a lot of these smaller masternodes that you can get into on different blockchains where you can earn a pretty high rate of return. So I'm looking at the Bettler token, Helio token. Like Bettler right now is 1,300 APY, where you only need about 2,800 bucks to earn $100 a day equivalent with that. And the token price has been holding up. There's not very much liquidity with that, so that's one thing to keep in mind. if you're going in there with big money, it's going to be hard for you to really, pull out thousands of dollars, because you're really going to impact the market. But these smaller masternode coins have a lot of opportunity, and I think it's really good to have a diversified portfolio of them, and you have the ability to do masternode sharing with curve.io. And so that's one that I'm going to be doing a more overview video. I haven't invested in it heavily just yet. I'm waiting for the Chinese New Year for the price of Bitcoin to come down and dump, because a lot of these are tied to the price of Bitcoin, and then I'm going to be going pretty heavily in that. And it's one that you can set up a number of different masternode coins, all earning you over $100 a day. So that's a really good one as well. Like for instance with the Helio, which is if you want to say on the lower end in terms of the APY, 783 on the APY, which is about 2.1% per day, and you only need about $4,600 invested to earn $100 a day. So that might be a good option for you as well. And the last one I'm going to talk about, which I talked about in my last video, is trading bots. So the three I'm going to talk about have an APY anywhere from 900 to about 200. So they kind of range, and then there's some different risks associated with them. So the one that I'm doing the best with currently is Wick Hunter. My APY has been about 870. So you're looking at like over 2% per day. And it's only going to take you about $4,200 or so roughly invested to earn $100 a day. Now it's also in Tether. One of the things that I've been doing is inside my Binance account, every day I pull out my profits. One of the risks with that, with the settings that I'm running, because I did do a 20% stop loss, and it hit that stop loss on an IOST pair that pumped like crazy, like 100% an hour. I was on the wrong end of that trade, and so it hit my stop loss, and so I lost 26% of my account. I'm still kind of trying to climb back, and so I now have done it a little bit differently, where I've given it full range, because had I had the entire balance available for that bot to work in the background, I wouldn't have been liquidated, or would have been able to make it through. It's doing some really cool stuff in the background. Like it's really, if it has enough time, it's going to eat through those. The risk is like if you have a massive pump or dump and the bot just doesn't have enough time or enough balance to really compensate for that, you could get liquidated. But a lot of people that are in this are doing really well, and it's currently closed. I put the Discord link below. You can get on the waiting list. I would encourage you to do that. This one has been doing really well. BitsGap is less risk. It doesn't have the same types of returns. It's roughly about 20% a month, or about APY of 240, which is 0.65% per day. So you're looking at about $15,000 invested in order to get to $100 a day. Now this is working on 25 different exchanges that you have the funds inside that account. It's doing, it's basically a grid bot that's buying low, selling high with no leverage. The risk being that you would, if it goes out of that range or doesn't have enough funds to work with, then you're gonna be holding 95% of one of the token pairs. So typically it's recommended to buy tokens or to trade with tokens that you don't mind holding one of those pairs because you believe it's going to go up in value. You can also stop the bot, reset it, and it'll buy or sell instantly. It's really easy to work with. It's one that's been growing in popularity here recently. And both of those bots I'm earning roughly about over $100 a day in. So really liking those two. The other one that I'm getting into recently that's done really well, I've earned 1.1% daily over the past week, has been BitCross. This is trading on BitMEX. The thing with BitMEX is you can't be a US citizen. So if you do have somebody that has a passport of another country, that would be one way to set up an account, and you can set up multiple accounts on different strategies. So they have range strategies as well as trend strategies, two different types of strategies. So 5 in total, and this is one that I'm setting up 3 accounts right now. It's doing really well, but conservatively, talking with the developer on this, you can look at about 0.6% per day, which is about 220 on the APY. So you're looking at about 16,000 invested in order to earn $100 a day. And the guys that's been doing this, I've known for quite some time. He's been working on this for about 3 years or so, and has really been you know, plugging away at it over these past several months, but he's been running it consistently since May and has never been liquidated on it. So it's doing some really cool stuff, some really good strategies in the background. And the more strategies that you have, you may have one strategy that is incurring some losses, but the other strategy will make up for that. So that's why it's good to be diversified in that bot. And I'm currently building that up so that I can get to the point where I'm earning, you know, $100 a day in that as well. So those are my 10. I think that there's a lot of other projects that I'm looking at. There's about 5 other ones, which I'm going to cover in another video, that are up and coming that I feel could be added to this list. A lot of great opportunities in crypto. So I encourage you guys to get in my announcements channel. I give you guys updates on some of these. If you have a little bit of an insider on you know, when some of these projects are going to launch, or some of the up and coming opportunities, those can be great you know, opportunities to make some money as well. So curious to hear your guys' thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.